Hello YouTube, this is Marauders here, and this is the new 8BitDo arcade stick. So this is the 8BitDo has previously released an arcade stick before, so this is basically a new model for that we have here in 2020. Okay, so it's your standard arcade stick. You have a joystick, 8 buttons, and these aren't the start and stop buttons. These are customizable buttons which you can link to macros by customizing it in their 8BitDo software. And this is why this joystick supports wired and wireless. So it has the USB-C connector is down here, and this is the receiver. If you want to use it in 2.4 gigahertz mode instead of Bluetooth, they have a receiver here, which interestingly, while it looks like their 8BitDo wireless receiver, I don't think it's the same thing. Okay, so sticks wise, it's a pretty standard arcade stick. Nothing much I can say about it, but let's take a look at some controls. Okay, so here we have this is actually a power switch. So the S for switch mode and X for Xbox or XInput mode. Now here's the interesting thing. When I turn it on to switch mode, if we look at the things here, you see that you have your letters, they light up, Y, X, B, A. But if I switch it to X, A, B, X, Y, and you get RT instead of ZR. So yeah, that's a very neat trick. Okay, when depending on which mode you set to, you turn it on and off. You get the different highlights of the different letterings. That's actually very helpful when for you to remember like which buttons to press, especially if, like for the trigger buttons. Then of course here we have the usual toggle switch for arcade sticks, which is like which control stick do you want this to emulate. So you can select from the D-pad, left stick, right stick. Again, pretty normal for arcade stick. So this is the pairing button for Bluetooth pairing and the 2.4G pairing with the dongle if you have to replace it. This is the turbo button, so you can get when you press the button and you press the button you want, you can get turbo access for the button that you pressed, which, well, depending on what you're playing, you might be able to cheat some of the things. And this is the home button of your platform, so it's either the home key for the Switch or the Xbox button for the Xbox controller if you're in Xbox mode. Here we have a switch to slide between Bluetooth and 2.4G mode. So if it's in Bluetooth mode, you can connect to the Switch wirelessly or to your Windows PC without the need for the dongle. So if you want to use Bluetooth and connect to your Switch and your Windows PC, it's okay, it will work. Unfortunately, in Bluetooth mode for the Nintendo Switch, it still can't wake up your Nintendo Switch. I don't know why, but since there are other controllers that can do it, I don't know why 8BitDo still doesn't want to allow that to happen. Yeah, it's a weird thing. But there is one good thing about the 8BitDo's Bluetooth, which is if I pair it to the Switch in Bluetooth mode, I can pair it to in Xbox mode. I can pair it to my PC. And it won't forget it. So it basically has two different profiles. Okay, you don't need to keep pairing between your PCs if you're in different modes. So that's great. So here's the usual select and start buttons. Okay, so let's talk about what makes this arcade stick so special. Okay, it's a pretty decently made arcade stick. It has a weighted bottom. Everything feels okay. You get your wireless and wired connection methods. That's great. But one thing that 8BitDo advertises on its website, but not in the user manual, is the fact that this stick is supposed to be heavily moddable on the hardware side. So once we open it up, we can easily replace these whatever these switches are. It could be some cheap switch. You can easily replace it with Sanwa's, the OBF 30s, 24s, and you can replace the stick with a Sanwa stick very easily. So let's open it up. So before we start, there is one super irritating thing that I have to point out, which is the fact that while 8BitDo says, hey, you know what, this stick is going to be super moddable, okay, they didn't make the job where didn't make it very easy. Okay, first of all, maybe to keep the clean look, instead of putting the excess screws in the front to lift up the front panel, you have to do it from the back. Okay, so that's inconvenient, but okay, I could deal with that. The next is, these screws are in quite deep, so I can't reach it with my usual screwdriver. I need to have another extended bit. And the third thing is, instead of a normal screw head, this is a Torx. It's a T10 Torx. It's a Torx screw inside. How is that convenient or super user moddable? I have no idea. Must be someone's idea of a joke to use Torx screws in this thing. Okay, so now we got all the screws out. Let's open it up. You don't need to do anything special. Just gently separate the bottom and the top together. And it's not right. It's not a good orientation to do it. Okay. There's a little groove that's catching it. Okay. Yep. Okay, so the bottom plate is just a giant metal plate to provide the weight, and there's a little board here for the interface. So remember, this is where the USB plug connects to. I'm just going to gently pull out this connector cable, and we're going to put this aside. Okay, so here we have the internals of the 8BitDo arcade stick. Now, if you're familiar with modding arcade boards, sticks like this, it's a very simple replacement process. You just pull out these two contacts, and then of course you just squeeze the button out, and it just pops right out. Okay, if you've been doing this for a while, you should know that this is nothing special. Very good, very clean. Okay, the buttons are not exactly marked with like ABXY. They are marked with little numbers here with the signal wires. Okay, and they come over to this connector point here. So it just, but on this side, okay, on this side it will say that, let me just make sure the camera is getting that. Okay, on this side you see that it says row 1, row 2, row 3. Here it says ABXY L1 R2. So I guess they are using, if I wanted to say that they are using the PlayStation notation, but then it says XAYB. And if it's the Xbox, you should say right trigger, left trigger instead. Okay, but what, you get the idea. The main thing here is the board has marked which are the cables that connect to the leads. So if you're doing your hacking, this should be helpful. And here's the joystick. I'm not I haven't actually modded any sort of these arcade sticks before, but from what they say is that the fact that they included this plate, this is what a universal mounting plate. So you can go ahead, you can get your Sanwa sticks, you can use your Sanwa sticks, you can use your Shimizu sticks. You should be able to screw them in correctly using this mounting plate. It will easily, you can easily get it to work. Exactly how well, I can't really comment about it because I'm not too sure. But one thing that I am a bit puzzled on is that, so if we see here, this, remember they say everything is easily moddable, but the joystick's contacts are soldered, okay, instead of having these normal release tabs. Maybe they feel that people don't usually change joysticks, or for some reason or not, they decided to not make it that easy to change the sticks. I am not too sure. Maybe you can tell me if this is a normal for a easily moddable stick. The gate itself, I've changed my Sanwa gate before, so I know this is the restrictor plate, so I can easily just pop off the restrictor plate if I want to. Yeah, but it's a bad angle for me to do it, never mind. So I can just pop off the restrictor plate if I want to. This is a square restrictor right now, and it's not a removal. You can't remove it to make it a round restrictor. So yeah, is this a good modded stick? I don't know. What I do know is I have a very old Xbox 360 Mad Catz that has Sanwa buttons. I am definitely gonna replace them. Replace these feel so light, and I don't know, it just doesn't sound that well. I'm gonna replace them with the Mad Catz and see how well they work out. It should work great. As for the stick, well, it's fine. I guess I don't need to do anything to it yet. I don't need to just change it to for the sake of doing it. Yeah, I'll just mod the buttons so that they are the heavier, they are the nicer feeling Sanwa ones. Okay, so in conclusion, well, this 8BitDo arcade stick, yeah, it's pretty nifty. Nice, feels well built. Not too expensive, but yeah, I mean, if we are talking about cheap arcade sticks, there are definitely cheaper ones available out there. But this, I mean, the price is reasonable, and it feels well built. It doesn't feel too cheap. So if you're in the market for arcade stick, you can consider it. I mean, at least we know that like 8BitDo themselves, they are, well, it's a known commodity, so you know that they're not too bad. You don't have to worry about the quality issues. Okay, so this is Marauders, and this was the 8BitDo arcade stick, and I will see you all in the next video.